Okay, looking at the 15 marker, it says a one-player game uses the two-dimensional 2D array grid to store the location of a secret cell to be found by the player in 10 moves. Right, each row and column has 5 cells, and we see here the starting position is, well, just 1, 1 right at the top left. At the start of the game, the program places an X in a random cell, okay, not in grid 1, 1, so yeah, not in the player's starting position, and empties all the other cells in the grid. Right, the player starts at the top left, and the player has 10 moves. Right, during the game, the player can move left, right, up or down by 1 cell, and the move must be within the grid. Right, you win if the player moves to the cell with X and has played 10 moves or less. Right, you lose is displayed if the player has made 10 moves without finding the X. Okay, right, we want to write a program that meets these requirements. You must use pseudocode or program code and add comments to explain how your code works. You don't need to declare any arrays or variables, right? This has already been done, and all inputs and outputs must contain suitable messages. Right, so let's just go ahead and jump in and we'll try and do this. Now, I mean, I've just declared this grid already because obviously, well, we'll need this if we're actually, testing it on the website. Right, so what we can do then, I think the first one, it says we want to, place X in a random cell. And again, of course, you don't have to declare this, but for the actual website to work, right, you will need to declare. So let's go maybe, X, let's say maybe X row, or X position or something. Right, let's also go, X column. And well, we'll just make those integers. Okay, and then I think we can also have integers for the player position. Let's say player row, and let's go, player column. And then let's think we also need the number, let's say the number of moves remaining, right, obviously starts at 10. Let's say, I guess we don't necessarily need moves remaining, we could also call it like number of moves, right, so it's going to count up. So let's call it maybe not, like number of moves or non-moves. Right, then is there anything else we need? I think for the moment that's okay. We can go back and add some stuff, which is why I always like to leave myself some space. Right, so first then let's just go ahead and we'll just empty, we're just going to empty the grid. Okay, and then we're also going to put the X in a random cell. So in order to empty the grid, well, this is just looping through a 2D array. So first we're going to loop through the rows. Okay, that's going to be 1, and then we're going to go to 5. Right, then we're just going to loop through the columns. Again, that's going to be 1 to 5, and what we're going to do, we're just going to go grid. Okay, make sure to use the correct index, right, so the index is row and column, and let's just assign that like an empty string, right, or empty character. Right, then we're just going to go next column, and then we're just going to go next row. Right, now then we want to generate the starting position, but of course, right, not 1, 1. So let's put that in a repeat until, and we're going to go until the X row. Maybe let's go right. X row is not equal to 1. Right, or the X column, right, is also not equal to 1. Because for example, if let's say the row is 1 but the column is 3, okay, that should be okay. And I think this should work for those situations. Right, so what we want to do then, we just want to generate a random row. So the way we can do that, well, let's go round. We're then just going to go random. So random here, we see that's going to generate a random number between 0 or 1. So, we don't really want to multiply by 5, because the problem is, right, we actually want the number to be between 1 and 5. So I think what we can do is if we multiply this by 4, okay, then if let's just round that to 0 decimal places. Right, then if we just go plus 1, so this here should generate a random number between 0 and 4. Right, then if we just go plus 1, okay, well then it's just gonna plus 1, so it goes between 1 and 5. And then basically we can do the same thing but for the column. Right, and let's just test that, see if it works. I think hopefully it should work. Of course, like in the Yeah, okay, so that seems to be working. You know, obviously in the exam you wouldn't have these outputs, but yeah, we're just testing. Right, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to create a extra procedure, right, just so we can actually visualize the grid. Now, again, in the exam, of course, you wouldn't do this, but yeah, this is just to help visualize, just to, you know, I guess, yeah, help demonstrate. So let's go show grid. Right, let's go end procedure, and again, we're just going to copy this, so let's copy this loop through the rows and columns. But then what we want to do, we also, and let's make sure just to indent this as well. Right, we're going to declare a line. So this is going to be a string, and basically this will be the current row that we're outputting. And what we'll do is, let's say each row that we loop through, we're just going to assign this line to an empty string again, okay, just to kind of reset it. And then what we can do is we'll say, so for example, I've got these colors here, and let's say if it's empty, then we'll just set it to X. I guess, yeah, if it's the X position, or yeah, if it's, you know, this X row, X column, maybe this can be green, this is the target. But then, yeah, if it's the player row, player column, right, then we can set it to blue. So, right, let's do that. Right, we'll just go, yeah, okay, all right, so let's try like this. We'll go if, right, okay, so if row is equal to the X row, right, yeah, and row is equal, okay, sorry, right, and column is equal to X column. Right, then what we want to do, let's go line. Right, and I guess to be honest, you know, this operator is actually not technically included for IG. This just means concatenation, right, so just joining strings together. And then what we want to do, I guess, let's say this green. And again, you know, if you don't want to do this, you can skip forward a couple of minutes in the video. But yeah, this is just to demonstrate. Which, you know, again, hopefully this will make the video, hopefully this will make the video easier to understand, right? When you can actually like visualize the pieces on screen. Right, let's just copy this, because rather than saying is equal to X row, this is then going to be equal to player row. And then, yeah, let's check, and the column is equal to the player column. And then let's say in this case that can be blue. Right, then we can just have an else, and let's go end if, and I guess what else we just want to go black. So yeah, black is going to be if it's kind of like an empty cell. Right, that should be fine. And then what we want to do as well, once we've looped through the entire column, right, that's when we can just output the line. And yeah, that should be fine. Now, you know, what we can do something like this, where if we just separate like that, and that's obviously a way to distinguish between, you know, this is the sort of first move, the second move, the third move. Right, and then in order to call that, let's just go call, and let's go show grid, and yeah, let's see if this works. Okay, yeah, so now we can see it saying that this is the sort of target position. Now, of course, in reality, you wouldn't actually show this target position because, well, the whole point is the player is trying to guess. But again, you know, just for us debugging, right, it makes it easier. Okay, that's fine. Right, so, right, then what do we want to do? We want to, yeah, so I guess then we just want to set the player's position. So in fact, I mean, let's do that here. We'll go player, right, player column is going to be 1. And let's also do the player row. That's also going to be, well, assigned the value 1, right, or initialized with the value 1. And then, yeah, now we can see that. Right, so the player has 10 moves. I mean, I think that's okay. Right, during the game. Okay, so let's think about what's the conditions of, like, you know, while the game is continuing. So I think let's just have a repeat until. And I guess the stopping conditions, this will be either if and you know, you could simplify this by making another variable like a win variable. So yeah, maybe let's just do that. We'll just go declare win. Let's go Boolean. Yeah, and yeah, okay, I think that's fine. Alright, so let's go what until win, right, or yeah, until win equals true. Right, or, and this is going to be what the number of moves is, I guess equal to 10, or is it greater than 10? Yeah, so I think equal to 10, right, because if they've made 10 moves then it stops. Right, okay, yeah, or num moves is equal to 10. Right, so that should be fine, and I'm just going to delete this show grid now. Yeah, okay, let's just delete it. Right, so what we want to do inside here then, I guess this is where we want to ask them. Yeah, this is where we want to ask them their move. So I think for this, probably the best way to do it is we can use a case statement. And I mean, we can't really use the arrow keys, but for example, we could use maybe like WASD, right? That's common in games, where, you know, W is going to be up, right? A is left, S is down, and then D is going to be, yeah, right. Of course, you can also use, you know, left up, right down. But yeah, I think WASD is fine. Right, so let's go output. Right, let's go, yeah, maybe enter move. Yeah, I'm going to enter move direction. Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know, we could go, yeah, W equals up. Right, I mean, let's go, yeah, A equals left. Right, so S is going to be down. And then, yeah, D is going to be right, just to explain it to them. Right, so of course, and again, you know, in the exam, you wouldn't have to declare this, but yeah, just for the website, let's do this. Let's say maybe move direction. Right, that can just be a character. So then we're just going to go input into move direction. Okay, and now we can just have a case statement. So let's go case of, right, move direction. Right, let's go end case. And what we'll say is, well, if the move direction is, let's say W, well, then what we want to do is we want to set the player position to be, let's say, the current row -1. But I think we don't necessarily want to do this yet, because again, we have to check, what is it a valid move. So that's why let's go back here and we'll just add some extra variables. So let's go, well, new row, and also, yeah, let's also go new column. And I mean, you know, here you could have like if statements inside this case, but I think if we just do it like this, where we just kind of update the new column, then we can actually validate everything after the case, and it's going to be a little bit quicker, or I guess kind of less code. So what we want to say, well, new column is going to be equal to the player column, right, -1. And then, yeah, really we can just copy these. Right, so let's go, yeah, I mean let's go A. So well, that's going to be the new row, and that's going to be the player row -1, because, yeah, left is going to be -1. Right, if we go S, and yeah, let's go D. Right, so S is going to be down, so that's why the new column, and then, yeah, +1. Right, and then D, that's going to be right, so, well, that's going to be +1, but it's going to be the player row. Yeah, let's check I've done that correct. So new column, player column, right, new row, player row, yeah, column, column, row, row. Okay, so I think that's fine. And let's also just have an otherwise in case they enter something invalid. Yeah, let's just say, right, output, right, invalid, move direction entered. Right, should be, I know, yeah, WASD, right, one of those characters. Okay, and yeah, let's also make sure we also want to set the, okay, yeah, this number of moves. Right, just initialize that to 0. Right, so I think then we want to validate that the move direction, or yeah, we want to validate this, obviously a valid move. So in order to do that, well, basically we want to check that if the new column is, what, greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 5. Of course, yeah, the same for the new row. So let's do that, right? If new row is greater than or equal to 1, right, and new row is greater than, less than or equal to 5. Right, okay, yeah, and new column is greater than or equal to 1, right, and new column is, well, less than or equal to 5. And let me just move this across just to expand it out. Right, then what we want to do is, okay, let's just go here. So obviously here, this is where we want to update the current player row to actually be this new row. yeah, and the new column. So let's go player row is going to be equal to the new row. Right, player column is also equal to the new column. And of course, here only one of them is going to change, right? So, okay, yeah, so that's kind of a problem, I guess. Yeah, I mean, so obviously this is where you could have like if statements inside here, right? Alternatively, we can just check. I mean, maybe if we assign the player column to be the new column. So I think if we do this, let's go new column. Okay, well, sorry, right, let's go new row. That's going to be the player row. Right, then let's go new column. That's going to be the player column. Because like what I'm saying is that, let's say for example they choose W. Well, W would set the new column, but of course the new row would never be set. So for example, like, I don't know, maybe the new row would be 0, right? Or of course if we've set it before, it would just be the value that we've set before. Whereas yeah, if we actually assign them to be the current row, the current column, like then for example if we choose this W, well it means that the new row is still going to be correct, because the new row will just stay the same, right? It's going to be the current player row. So yeah, I think that should be fine. And then probably let's have an error message. Right, end if, let's say yeah, in, so let's say maybe invalid move. I don't know, yeah, like not on board. Okay, so I think that's fine. And then what we can do is we can just check if they win. So to check if they win, we want to check what if the player row is equal to the X row, right, and if the player column is equal to the X column. Right, then if it is, well, let's just then set win to be true. And I guess here, yeah, let's actually just initialize win to be false. Right, so I think that should be fine. And then, of course, we also just want to increment the number of moves. Yeah, so let's go number of moves, and we'll just increment that like this. And what we can do, maybe at the end, well, here is where we can just output, if they won or if they lost. Of course, we could also output, if they won here, that's also fine. But I think, yeah, I'm just going to do them together at the end. So let's go if. And the thing is, we don't necessarily want to check if the number of moves is equal to 10, or we don't want to only check that. Because, for example, like if they win on the 10th move, then of course that's also going to be a valid win. Yeah, I think that's a valid win, let me check. Yeah, so if they've made 10 moves with finding it, right, that's going to be valid. Right, so let's go, yeah, if, I don't know, like if win equals true. Then what we want to do, we just want to output you win. And how do they spell that? Like the capital, yeah, I guess, right, just capital W. I mean, let's try and make it just identical. Right, then we'll just have, yeah, let's have an else. And again, right, end if. Right, so of course, well, if they haven't won, then the only way it could have stopped is if the number of moves is 10. So I suppose, yeah, here then we can just go output you lose. Alright, and that, yeah, I mean, that should be okay, I think. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to call this show grid just so we can actually test it. So I guess the place where we can use this show grid, I mean, let's say after they make their move. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I don't know, let's go here, right, call show grid. And I'm actually going to call it just once at the start as well, just so we can see it here. Yeah, and then let's test that, see if it works. Okay, so let's say we want to move to the right, so right is going to be D. Let's go, yeah, capital D. Okay, so, right, yeah, for some reason that's gone down, so why has that gone down? Right, so here then, that's a stupid mistake. Right, okay, yeah, I realise I've done that opposite. Of course, right, so W should be row. Yeah, this is the good thing with testing, of course, whereas, in the exam I would have lost these marks. Right, of course, this one should be column. This one should be column. I mean, let's make sure. So W is up, so the row decreases. Right, and then S, S is down, so the row increases. A, okay, I mean, hopefully that's correct. Let's try again. So, alright, I mean, it's the same position, which is kind of weird. Let's try W. So W should actually give us a invalid move. Invalid move, okay. Right, let's try, okay, so S is going to be down. And then, if we go down, okay, we can see that's worked. Right, then let's just try, let's try S again, down. That's fine. And then if we go right, so that's going to be D. Okay, and then, here it says you win. Now, I mean, honestly, here I guess I can make that, big A, big S. Okay, then, D like this. Right, I mean, that's fine. Now, let's try the losing condition. Okay, let's try this losing condition. So maybe we'll just go, I don't know, let's go like right, left, right, left. Okay, so D, and then, right, let's go A, then D, then A, right, then D, A. Okay, so, right, then it says you lose. And I mean, let's count, is that 10, right? So that's move 1, move 2, move 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that seems to be working. Now, again, I mean, I think, this is working pretty well. Now, for this show grid, right, there is actually an additional method let's say an additional procedure we can use. So if we just go clear, and again, this clear is only actually for the website, it's not like a real procedure for Cambridge. But basically that's just going to clear the console, when we call this. Right, so let's go down again, and you see the console gets cleared, right, which means obviously that only shows us the current position, which is quite useful. But right, I mean, so guys, once I've done this, I think it's always good, just read this again, make sure we've got everything. So place X in a random cell, starts top left, 10 moves, they can move. So I think that's everything. Now, of course, let's just go through quickly and just comment everything. So what we'll do, let's say, reset all cells to be empty. Right, let's say generate, let's say generate target X position. And I do realise I have actually forgot one thing. Right, so this grid here, we then do just want to, and right, that's not going to be here, sorry. Right, that's going to be after we've done the repeat until, so after we've validated that it's obviously a valid move. Right, then we just want to go the X row, and also the X column, and we just want to assign that here the, let's go the string X like that. Okay, right, generate target position, I mean, let's say like set target position. I guess here we can just say what, like initialize variables. I mean, obviously this show grid we won't comment because that's not going to be in the real exam. Right, so this one we could just call game loop. Let's say continue until win or lose. Right, this one, let's say get player move direction. Right, this one, let's say I don't know, set the new position. I guess we can say maybe update new position, or maybe let's say update possible new position. Let's say like before validation. Right here, let's say validate. I don't know, let's say validate move is on board. Obviously, this show grid again we don't need. Right here, then we're just gonna check if one. I mean, increment moves, I think we don't really need to comment that. And I mean, I don't know, this one, let's say show, I don't know, show outcome or show results. And again, obviously, this we don't need to comment. Alright guys, so again, I mean, hopefully this video is useful. Any questions, as always, just ask in the video, ask on Discord. Maybe send me an email, and see you again in the next video.